I was like, yo, ma. It was funny because right after that, I went to school. Went to school. Some kid was telling us about an audition. He was like, yo, I just did this audition. I got like $5,000 for doing this commercial, and every time it plays on TV, I get paid. I'm like, what? I was like, I'm doing these school plays for free? Nah. I hit my mom. I was like, yo, ma, I want to do this. I want to try this acting thing. And my mom already went through it with my older brother, so she wasn't going through it again. He kind of, it ended bad for him. So she was
Mm-hmm.
like, listen, if you want to do it, I'll give you money for a Metro card and some money to get some headshots, but everything else you got to do on your own. She's like, I can't do it again. She's like, but this will work for you. This will be your first step into adulthood. Like if you make it, if you do it well, you can say that nobody helped you with this. But if you don't do it, then there's nobody that you can blame but yourself. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, cool. Took the money, went into the city, got my first little newspaper of backstage back then, and yeah, man.
Now you got all these women in here trying to Google your brother now. They
I
try.
know, it's hilarious.
They like, who was the brother?
Yeah.
So your first role,
Hmm.
you got your first speaking role, your first part. What was that?
My first speaking role was Miracles Boys.
Mm-hmm.
It was Miracles Boys. It was on a network called The End at the time, or Noggin, and it was a Spike Lee's miniseries. That was the first time that I met Julito as well.
Mm-hmm. And how was that experience being able to finally get on the set? You got a speaking role. It's like now you understand. This is when you start understanding what the numbers mean on the call sheet. You like, oh, actually have a number next to my name. So how was that
Yeah.
experience? How was that experience for you?
It was crazy, man. It was nuts. It was dope because I've been on a few sets before that. Like I did like maybe a commercial and like a quick like background part on like a soap opera or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
before that, nothing really big, nothing like this. We get on set and we go to craft service. I have my own little trailer with my clothes, everything. It felt like even at that time, like I'm like, dang, I made it,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I didn't make nothing. It was a nice little small part. I think I had like 3 lines in the entire joint, but we did it. It was dope.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you stay? Because like I said, I've dealt with a lot of men,
Hmm.
and I dealt with divas. I dealt with people I dealt with people that but you stay very mellow, whether it's going right or wrong.
Yeah.
You never really let it get to you. You just gotta like still go with the flow. So how do you keep that same energy in the space?
uh my grandfather and my dad were always very much very stoic men. Um, my dad more than my grandfather. My grandfather's much more lively, but neither one of them will let you see him sweat. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of growing up with that mentality, and my older brother and all of his friends kind of just like with the mentality, like, yo, you can't let him see you sweat. That's how it started. But then just as you grow up and you go through other things and you learn other methods like meditation, which I do a lot now, and just understanding your fellow person. uh, you start to realize a lot of times the problems that you encounter aren't your fault, and if they are your fault, there are things that you can change or fix.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either you fix what you can fix, and if you can't fix it, you just sit back and you let God handle it.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you started, building momentum in your career, did you make it? Did you make it um a conscious decision to keep your life under wraps? Because like Mac, I don't think you understand how hard it was to find anything about you. Like it's like I was trying to do like because I actually do my research before I talk to y'all, and I'm just
Mhm.
like what? And I'm like, you can't find nothing like other than your work.
Yeah,
Even
man.
on your Instagram page, you post stuff and then you try to go back to it, it's gone. It's like
Yeah, I am. It's funny. I'm like an introverted extrovert.
Hmm.
Uh, I definitely enjoy having my my life to myself because I feel like everything else is for the public. All of my art, the things that kind of speak for me, that all of that is public. So certain, like, even my daughter, for a long time I was like, nah, I gotta. When Essence came around, I talked to Essence and I was like, I I guess.
Hmm.
It sounds dope. But nah, man, I really enjoy being able to kind of have the two sides where it's like, you know, you can be Batman, but you can also be Bruce Wayne.
Hmm.
So you got to have that. You got to have the two sides.
And that did you find that doing your career like this, having the two separate sides, has that been beneficial in your life?
I think to a certain extent, yes. I think other times, no, as well. We this uh our community, this entertainment community, it thrives off of how personal you are, or even a lot of times, kind of, they want the drama, they want the juice, they want to know the tea for the day. And if you don't got a lot of tea, then you're not in the news. You're not top of the pops. You're not the person that they're checking for.
Hmm.
So I think it works in my behalf because I'm not worried about being the top of the pops, or at the top of everybody's list, unless it's about my talent. But um, other than that, man, I let my friends talk for me. I have a lot of. It's funny because all of my heroes, like the guys that I look up to, or even a lot of my friends, they are way more outspoken than I am. And uh, like I just seen Mouse in here. Mouse is probably one of the most outspoken people I know. And I'm outspoken when it comes to certain issues,
Hmm.
but a lot of times, yeah, I'm very much more of a introverted guy.
You let your folks speak for you.
Yeah, yeah. I let my work, I let my art, and I let my people. I let my work, my art, and my people talk for me. Yeah.
Hmm. So let's talk about The Wire.
Yes, sir.
So we saw that y'all did a guy reunion
Yeah, man.
for for it. And
Hmm.
so how was that experience working on The Wire?
It was, man. I wish, it's crazy, right? I wish, being 16 years old, that my only focus wasn't was uh just not being in school. I wish I had, but I think I would have probably. There's a butterfly effect with certain things, right? Like
Hmm.
you change one thing, everything changes. So I'm glad that it happened the way it happened. But if I could have appreciated it as much as I appreciate it now,
Hmm.
just kind of like the level of writing, of professionalism, of just actors sharpening other actors. You get on that set and it's like, if you're not good, it's not like, oh, no, we're going to cut you off. If you're not good, we're going to make sure you're good. And we're going to guide you in the way, that doesn't make you feel like belittled. We're going to build you up. Uh, that set was the best training grounds for me, as not only as a professional in this business, but as an actor. Just
Hmm.
understanding what acting is. And then, even then, leaving there, I didn't understand it until I looked back and was like, oh, I have all of this knowledge that I didn't realize that I have because of this. It's nuts, man. It was the best experience that I've ever had, man.
Hmm. Now, when did you decide to say, so you having an acting career, everything is going good, acting? You like, you know what? I want to make an album. I want to make a song. I want to get into the studio. Like, was that always a thing for you, or did you?
Yeah, yeah, it was always a thing. Like I said, I've always, it was always music first for me,
Hmm.
even as a kid. And then as I grew up and I got into acting first, uh, I've always kept music in the back of my head. So I was always writing songs. I was always like writing rhymes. I was always trying to figure out how to get into a studio to record something, or do this or do that. Like even during The Wire, and it's so funny that Maestro brought this story up. Uh, we talked to one of the teachers. We talked to one of the teachers and talked her into letting us have English credit uh, by writing battle raps against each other. So she would let us go in our corners, write battle raps for like 10 minutes. And then the next 10 minutes of class was us battling each other, going back and forth with our 16s. It was amazing, but it kept you sharp. It kept us sharp. But I started officially, I guess, officially doing music maybe when I moved to LA. And when I officially moved to LA to do 90210, I was about 18. I was 18. I moved to LA, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna really go for it. I got my manager at the time, Phil Thornton. He started getting me into different little writing sessions, and I started writing with other writers or writing with other artists. I was working with Warren Campbell. I worked with Faith Evans. I was working with Harold Lilly, just moving around LA, and eventually, started coming up with my own songs, man.
Okay. Now I can like so I've been talking to actors and designers and people all week, well for the past month,
Hmm.
every day. And so I can always if you can answer it, you can let me go ask the question or not. But we can all be sitting talk about the good all the time. But I like to also talk about the times when it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
If that like so is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah, we can go there.
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't want so I think it's that yes, we can look at your career. You've worked, you've been an actor, you've been in music,
Hmm.
but have there been times where it was like, hey, you wasn't working and you were trying to figure out what was next and how did you deal with those things and how did you work through those times?
I think in our business, that is a
Mm-hmm.
constant thing that we're up against, right? That is, you never fully understand like where that next job is coming from, or uh where that next gig can pop up. And sometimes, you have things to kind of lean back on, but then other times you don't. So yes, I've definitely gone through those times. I've definitely gone through those days where I'm sitting back like, dang, like we gotta find a lick. We have to figure something out. Um, and it's rough. It's rough, but I think now, again, getting back into the my meditation and understanding that you can only control what you can control, and
Mm-hmm.
and and also understanding that you have to reap what you sow. Like, you always reap what you sow. So if you're putting in work, uh, work will always beget work. So
Mm-hmm.
again, even in these times, like, the only thing that I'm doing again is completely just staying creative. Like, I'm writing every day. I'm like looking at scripts. I'm like working on breaking down scripts. Like, I'm constantly working on like my acting ability, my singing ability, my writing ability, the way that I want to direct things, like how I would produce certain things, new music. Like, I'm constantly putting in work so that work will work will beget itself.
Mm-hmm. Who what's next for you, Matt? I mean, like because, like I said, you are it's always something like the your Avadian and Sons collab.
Hmm.
You have a liquor sponsorship. You have this. You have that. So it's like you have so much. It's like
Oh
you
man,
always have something new popping up on your timeline.
yeah, man. All praises due, for real. But it's the world, man. The world is up next. Making sure that my daughter grows up amazing and happy. That she stays happy, man. That little girl is something else. I got to send you pictures when we get off. But
Mm-hmm.
yo, making sure that she stays happy, making sure that my girl stays happy, and then making sure that I'm happy. Like, making sure that I'm being fulfilled creatively, that I'm stimulated creatively, and that I'm constantly learning something new. Because I want to be able to teach my daughter at whatever age that she's at. I want to be able to teach her something new every day.